Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime. And I'm pleased to tell you I'm feeling a whole lot better, as you can probably hear. And for those of you who missed last week's broadcast, I am so sorry that I needed to cancel. I got sick again, unfortunately. I think my immune system is pretty shot after all those. Um, what can we say? All those medications I was on and everything. So, a very, very warm welcome to you all with just 2 weeks to go until Christmas, 2 weeks in a couple of days. So I'm pretty certain that we're all feeling a little bit overwhelmed by now. And so I just wanted to say that it's really nice. I'm just seeing Jeannie's making a note. Hi, Jeannie. Good to see you here. Jeannie's making a note to say that, oh, a picture of my meal that I cooked for Benji and Leah was on Judy's broadcast. Lots of color, especially the pineapple and cherry. Yeah, I'm glad that you like that. What I did, for those of you who don't know, I did uh, pork tenderloin. But what I did is on top, I had circles of apple, actually, not pineapple. I did apple and then a maraschino cherry on a toothpick in the middle of it. So yeah, it was very tasty. I'm glad that it's there. Thank you for letting me know. All right, so we got lots of updating to do. I don't think we've got a birthday this week. So if we've missed your birthday this week, please let me know because it's not on our database and I would like it to be there. Not only 2 weeks until Christmas, but you know me, I don't do winter. So 103 days until spring and or autumn if you happen to be in the southern hemisphere. And what I like about that is we're nearly into the double digits. That's really exciting to me. This time next week we'll be in double digits, not triple. That is definitely on our way to spring. So I am very, very excited about that. I'm going to be doing health updates on Jody and myself in a moment. But first of all, I wanted to just acknowledge that um, Jeannie and I both got the all clear on our mammograms. Very, very exciting. So, hi there, Damascus. Good to see you. Hi there, Charlotte. Good to see you. And I'm hoping that everybody is having a pretty peaceful time of it. Uh, so anyway, so just congratulations, Jeannie, on the clear mammogram, and I was really pleased. I did a double check on it to make sure that mine was clear as well. So we're all good. Oh, thank you so much for your opinion, Damascus. And that's why we love what we do. Damascus, everybody has what their likes and dislikes. So carry right on and move along. There are plenty of other things to watch. So, what I wanted to do was to talk a little bit about what I did right this year. And oh, I was born in the Netherlands. Thank you so much, Damascus. How kind of you to have that opinion. uh, okay, so here's our first quote for the day. A reminder that we don't have to continue the traditions that leave us broke, overwhelmed, or tired. How many of you understand what I'm saying about? We don't have to continue them. Just because, your family did them all those years doesn't mean that you have to. You get to make your own rules. I think Christmas is a really good time for you to remember what it's about. And it's not about all the money and it's not about all the other things that stress us out. It is actually about love. And so I think it's really important. I've got a great system with my family and friends over Christmas, and some of you know about that. Which is, I don't necessarily celebrate it on Christmas Day. It's somewhere between now and mid-January. I will do Christmas with various people, and I say, I'll get the tree up, and I don't take the tree down until everybody that I want to celebrate Christmas with has been to visit, and sometimes that tree stays up well into the latter part of January, and I don't care. The tradition, it has to be done by January the 5th. I don't care. I haven't had Christmas with Doug yet, or I haven't had Christmas with Yvonne yet. It's like really important to me that I get to do it my way, and that's fine. So I wanted to talk about what I did right this year. Excuse me. I'm really glad that I minimized my overwhelm this year by making all my Christmas cards in January. As some of you know, I make all my own Christmas cards. Hang on a second. So, for those of you who haven't seen them, all right, this is one of them. My very complicated one, this one, but I love it. And then here's another one. Call that the candy cane. And then this is another one. So I was really glad that I spent those cold winter months doing something constructive, which was making this year's Christmas cards. And then I wrapped them all in cellophane so that they were pristine, ready to go out when I wanted them. So Jeannie's saying she has one more batch to send out, and she's done them all. She did them all in November. I make them in January, and then I'm also, by the way, have a database so that I can just print out the labels as well. So do what you can. So I was really happy that I did that. It really saved me a lot of time when things went wrong, which we're going to talk about in a second. But so let's start off with what I did right. I also made a lot of presents this year. And I said, it's like I don't have as much money, so I'm going to spend the year making presents for people. And I did. And then I also, and I don't know how many of you do this, I have learned the art of buying little presents during the year. So I'll see stuff and I'll go, oh, that's really nice. I like that. But then so would Yvonne or, whoever. So what I do is I'm inclined to buy two instead of one, and I put them away so that I have them ready for Christmas time. So I have a lot of presents already ready. And I don't get big presents for people. I get little fun things. So then what I find is that I was feeling pretty ahead of the game, quite honestly, around about, I had a few little hiccups, didn't I? I got out of sync with my timing because of the bronchitis. I got out of sync with the timing because of the cold that followed the bronchitis. But overall, I think I did pretty well. Yeah, Jeannie's saying she's giving her dearest friends the soap. Oh, she bought some homemade soap for me. So her soap and the special candies, caramels and truffles and things. Yeah, it's about the little things that mean a lot, right? So I was, doing pretty well until the overwhelm hit. And the overwhelm hit because things I was not planning for started to happen. My health had issues. And boy, you cannot plan for that, right? You can always, like any good manager, you can be a risk manager and say, all right, this is how long I think it'll take, but I'm going to add a couple of weeks onto it. And that's what I did with my Christmas card. So I was pretty good. I think even though I was a week late getting my Christmas cards out, the local ones, it still was, I hope, in plenty of time. I know that most of the cards and presents that I sent out of Canada have apparently arrived now. I'm just waiting for a couple of them to arrive, but so I think I sent those in time. It always takes I allow 6 weeks, not 3, 6. So we will see. And the nice thing was, I was really happy. I sent a Christmas village to my sister, and she just loved it. So I'm really happy that she got that. She said, should she open the box before Christmas? And I said, I think you'll get more joy out of it if you do, rather than save it for Christmas Day. So, and that's what she did. So We cannot plan for the things that we don't know about. So there isn't any pointing back getting upset about it, is there? It's one of those things where we have to say life got in the way. And once life gets in the way, what I find interesting is that's when you start to realize that you change your thinking in a hurry. All right. Hi there, Jenny. Good to see you. And what I want to talk about is that, you know, I find, I keep thinking about Jeannie last year. Jeannie, and if I can just talk about that, Jeannie last year was all getting ready for Christmas and everything was on track and everything. And suddenly her husband died. And so at this time, Jeannie, I send you our love and prayers and just it must be so difficult for you. But what I wanted to talk about was I am certain that in that moment, everything that seemed like it was important changed. All right. Because you had to deal with what was in front of you, not what you had wanted to deal with. And that's really important to start looking at it. When you really get these things, when life gets in the way, then that's when you cut down all this stuff that is extraneous to your need, right? It's like, it's not really important. What's important is, and that's what I want to talk about. Um, Jody, as some of you know, has been struggling all year with various health issues, and some of them fairly serious. And then suddenly, she found out she had to have an operation. Now, that would have thrown her Christmas right out the door. Uh, so you understand, it was like there was already the Christmas stress building, and then suddenly, operation. Now, what happens is it makes all this stuff that was already building up here far more compressed. And now, suddenly, this operation has to take precedence. And because that has to take precedence, then this lot all gets into anxiety and stress unless you learn to just say, I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to deal with the operation, which is what Jody did. So then, luckily, she had a successful operation. However, she's in the throes of recovery and getting her mind back into Christmas and stuff again when suddenly she gets an infection in one of the incisions. This operation had, was it 5 different incisions, Jody, that they went in to look at different things because of a problem that she had, and they wanted to make sure that they could understand what was going on. And then one of those small incisions that they made to put the scope in got infected. And so now, again, Christmas has to go to the side because now she's dealing with infection. Now, infection is not fun, all right? And so she ended up in ER this week, and 14 hours, I think she said, of 4 hours of waiting to be seen, and then another 10 hours of being treated. And they confirmed that she did have an infection, and they gave her the good stuff. That's the intravenous antibiotics, fed her with that, and then sent her home with other. However, she now still, over and above everything else that was going on, is now dealing with a body that is infected. And, I don't know are the antibiotics beginning to work at all, Jody? Can you feel any difference at all yet? And I hear from her that she will be going to she's been to the doctor, and she's on oral antibiotics now, but she will be going to see her surgeon next Friday, like this time next week. So she won't be able to be at the broadcast. Oh, Jody, what a week. And am I correct in saying that everything else just had to be pushed aside while you dealt with what is? And what I want to just keep reminding people is that it is really important to know that when these things happen in your life, that the people that really care about you totally get it. All right? The people who really care about you aren't saying, well, what about my Christmas? No. The people who really care about you just say, hey, you deal with what you need to deal with. We'll deal with, Christmas type stuff when you're ready. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. Not only that Jody needs to remember it and Lionel needs to remember it, that maybe they won't have everything tickety-boo ready for Christmas Day. But, that's not the important stuff. The important stuff is that that we're here and talking about it. I thought about that, when I was going through last year, going through cancer. Everything had to be put aside while I dealt with it. And what I found out was that the people who really cared about me totally understood. And I just said, hey, it's coming up to Christmas, but I've had, I had to have a mastectomy and I had to do recovery and, all those sort of things. So Christmas was a bit weird last year, but everybody that loved me totally got it. They're just saying, hey, not a problem. So to me, what I did was I just, booked people up to come for dinner and, and that's how I dealt with it. And then as I said, I didn't bring the tree down until close to the end of January last year. And that was fine. And, whenever the neighbors said, your Christmas lights are still up, I go, yep. And they will be until I've seen all the people I want to celebrate Christmas with. You see, it's my time of the year as well. It's not, and it's not just on December the 25th. That's the day we celebrate the Christian side of it. But it's not the Christmas side of it, right? If you know what I mean, that's the if you like, the spiritual day is the 25th, and I totally get that. I'd never change that. But all the other stuff that goes around it, presents and banquets and goodness knows what else, can be done any other day, really, because it's about, if you understand what it's about. So I looked at it and I went, that's really interesting. I've done a much better job this year of, even though I've been sidetracked and messed about, I've done a much better job of keeping it under control. And keeping the budget under control. How are you guys doing with that? I think because I buy things during the year, I don't find that I overspend it at actual Christmas time. I'm buying a couple of gift cards to add into other things that I've bought, but they're not excessive. I will, be sending a little bit of money to a couple of people, but that's not excessive either. It's just like all things that I'd planned to do, and just to make Christmas easier for people. So I'm quite happy with it. But I'm going to want to get back to Jody. And Jody, I want to make sure that the most important thing for us is that you're still here. And that's really important. The fact you'll be missing for next Friday's broadcast, it's not a biggie. I'm pretty certain that, either Jeannie will fill in for you or else we just won't do a broadcast. I mean, it's not the end of the world. So, it's just like, it's let's get this in perspective. You getting to the surgeon and dealing with what's going on is much more important. All right, and Jeannie's saying this would happily help. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Jeannie. So we got you booked for next week. And, it's just like, we all would love to do it all, right? And remember what that first quote said, right? We can let go of the things that don't suit us this year or next year. And that's okay to say to people, hey, normally I do a bang up feast, but this year it's going to be a picnic, and it's just like, and you will enjoy it. Or this year it's going to be a potluck, if you normally do everything. I think it's much better. For example, I had plans for tomorrow because Yvonne was coming. Uh, and suddenly we got notification that it could snow tomorrow. So Yvonne wrote to me first thing this morning and said, I understand there could be snow. And I said, yeah, I've just seen that as well. And I said, does that mean you won't be coming? Because that's obviously what she was concerned about. And then she double checked it and she said, it doesn't sound like we will get it necessarily. And so again, she didn't say yes or no, right? So I said, so we're playing it by ear. So any plans that I had for tomorrow that involved Yvonne are now a maybe, not a definite. But then I thought to myself, well, that's okay because my friend Siora, who comes and helps me do chores in the garden and stuff like that, she's coming tomorrow as well. So all the things that I had planned for Yvonne will now move on to Siora if Yvonne doesn't come. And it's just like, I can do this. So the holidays are a time when we tend to feel more intensely, both the good and the bad. Do you agree that we feel these things more intensely? And so for me, what I want to do is just have you remember what is important. Jeannie's saying for Christmas Eve, I plan to make a crock pot roast with potatoes, carrots, onions, and red wine. Do you know, it's really interesting. Siora picked me up a new crock pot because I've been using mine to make soap, and it works beautifully to make soap. So what she did is she bought me, I said, if you happen, because she's always in the thrift store and going to places like that. And I said, if you see a nice crock pot, pick me up one because then I don't have to keep cleaning mine to use it. Well, she bought me a really nice one for like $15, and it's like I don't think it had been used. It would look brand new. So I used it this week. Oh, I used it to cook that tenderloin that I was talking about earlier. So, and this is the time for crock pot meals anyway, right? And the other thing is, have you ever just steamed food? In other words, I found last week when I had the crock pot on the stove here, that instead of cooking everything in the air fryer, one day I just loaded up some mason jars, and in one of them I had, a sort of like a stew, and then the other one I had, a mason jar full of vegetables, and then the other one I put in, uh, about quarter of a cup of rice and filled it up with water, and I just steamed the whole lot for a few hours, and by the time dinner came, I had everything completely cooked. And it was just like, oh, that works. And by the way, a quarter of a cup of rice was enough rice to eat with the stew and also have enough left over to make a rice pudding dessert. So it worked really, really well. And that was fun. I'm not a snob. I just get overwhelmed and I shut down. How many of you relate to that? Please understand it has nothing to do with you. So the reason I wanted to mention that is because when we get overwhelmed, we are inclined to punish other people that don't deserve it. All right. Instead of telling the truth. Oh, Jody's saying that's cool. I've never done that in a crock pot. I want to tell you, Jody, if for one or two people, crock pot makes a very nice, if you got mason jars. There's a really, because you can compartmentalize the different things. And you can also, if you are doing a meal prepping, all right, you can just put them all in mason jars and just, and I put about 4 inches of water in there. And I just let it quietly steam during the day while I was busy doing stuff. The other thing is, think about that. A crock pot gives off a little heat. So it also adds as a little heating device as well. All these things, right? Plus, it's steam, so you're humidifying the air a bit. All sorts of good things going on there. So now I wanted to get on to my issue. With all that was going on and all that I had interrupted and everything else, then, as some of you know, I suddenly had a dental issue happen where half of my front tooth dropped off and it's still in, but I'm missing half of it, and the other half could break at any time. So I ended up at the dentist, and the news at the dentist was not good. I went back for a consult this week. So not only do I need one, possibly two partials, I also need to have 2 teeth removed and about 4 different fillings, and I don't have dental insurance. So the thing is, how overwhelming is that at Christmas time on top of everything else? Well, it is what it is. You know, that's our saying, right? It is what it is. Just because that's what needs to be done doesn't mean I have to have it done. I could walk around for the rest of my life with a front tooth missing, but I don't intend to. So getting a partial is going to be important to me. He did not think that it was, and the reason that it's important to me is because I've also lost my teeth at the back here on both sides. So I need a partial so I can still eat, without sort of trying to chew on my front teeth. But we know it's going to be expensive, really expensive. And I haven't planned for that, quite honestly. So I'm certain I'm not the only one that's come across this problem. But it also means, and this is the bit that really surprised me because I wasn't expecting it, is I'm going to be without a front tooth for 6 weeks. He said 4 to 6. He would prefer 6 if I can do it. So that means I'm going to look like a crone. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Because this is going to be missing. So I'm going to look like a crone. Okay. For 6 weeks. Now then, what do we do about the broadcasts? We got a couple of choices, That's the one thing that struck me is, what am I going to do about the broadcast? So I could go off the air, or dark as they call it. I could go dark for 6 weeks and not broadcast. Or I could carry on with the broadcast by invitation only. In other words, the only people that would see the broadcast would be those people that we know are not going to care about the fact that I'm missing a front tooth. Yeah, Jeannie, how kind of you. Jeannie's saying we love you and see you as beautiful regardless of missing teeth. Yep. So, to me, I thought that's probably, now I'm probably going to be lisping even more than I am already. So it's going to sound difficult. But, all right. So Jody's saying, Sal, your beauty and magic won't be compromised by a silly, difficult tooth. Yeah. But do we want to go live and have all the negative comments? Maybe I just ignore it and just do it anyway. But if I find that I'm lisping too much and that it's frustrating me, in other words, that it's not pleasant for me to do, then obviously I will talk to you about that. So I don't know when that 6 weeks is going to start. I have no idea. I'm waiting for the for the quote to tell me what order he thinks I need things done in and how much that will cost. He also has suggested I go to another denturist because I might be able to get it done more cheaply than with him. So, but a big amount of stress. Yeah, Jody's saying whatever makes you comfortable, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, if we did 6 weeks, took a 6 weeks holiday, I don't think anybody would particularly mind that either, right? We just get back together closer to the spring. I don't know. So we will see. And can I ask you, how have you found getting ready for Christmas this year, regardless of what's going on? Jeannie, you've been trying to get ready for Christmas with all those memories coming back, I'm sure, as they have been since Thanksgiving. Jody, how are you and Lionel coping? And I want to hear how you're doing, genuinely. Jeannie's saying, I had an odd thing happen. One of my front teeth years ago. Had to go to New Hampshire to get it fixed with dental insurance. Yes, I don't have dental insurance, so that's unfortunate. But I knew that it could happen. So I will find the money. Now the good news is, I don't know if you guys remember, but at the start of the pandemic, I walked into my bank and I pulled out a wad of cash. Now, it wasn't a good idea if you're thinking about interest on the money or whatever, but I took out some thousands of dollars of cash, and I hid it away in case things went south. Now, luckily, things did not go south, but I still have that money. And I've been using it week by week to pay for Ciora, who's helping me do things I can't do anymore. But I suddenly realized, I've got a couple of thousand stuck away that I can put towards this dental bill without messing with my sort of monthly budget too much. All right, so Jeannie said, I told people I'm not doing lots of gifts, but may just give gift certificates. This is not fully true, but it helps me. Yes. So you have given them sort of what I call a worst case scenario. So their expectation isn't big fancy gifts. They're not expecting anything. So whatever you give them will be a cherry. Jody's saying we're okay, but just a little stressed that our normal routine for Christmas prep has been disrupted. We're making the best of it, making a point to watch Christmas movies and listen to music. That to me is, in both of you, incredible emotional intelligence. And the reason is because it doesn't matter to the people. Actually, it does matter to the people who care about you. The people who care about you are going to be delighted that you took your personal stress management to be more important than all the rest of it. Right? and to me, that is really important. And when we can see that and do that, and when we can understand that, I think we're ahead of the game. So I beg you all to keep starting again every day. I take quite honestly, I just take a blank piece of paper, and when I get up every day, I just put down, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Okay, don't get up until 10. So 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, basically, I try and put one thing in each hour. Just one. I've got a whole list like this, but only one thing each hour. And I try to make sure that I balance it, right? That I have exercise in there for an hour. It doesn't matter when I do it, but for 1 hour of those hours, I'm going to be exercising. Now, that might be 10 minutes of 3 hours, right? I normally do 30 minutes of exercise. And that puts on 3,000 steps. But what I like to do is to do 3 lots of 10 minutes, because that doesn't feel as onerous to me. Or what I do is I do 1 lot of 10 minutes in the morning, and then in the evening I go, how many minutes do I need to catch up on? And I just, when I'm binge watching something, I'll just, stand there and walk. Or, if you can't walk, then just do arm rolls, and you'll be amazed how good that is for getting your circulation going. The holidays are a wonderful time, but they can come quickly, and they can quickly become overwhelming if you neglected to plan ahead. So let me ask you, what was the best thing that you did to plan ahead this year? As I said, for me, it was to have the Christmas cards that I spent the winter making Christmas cards and little Christmas presents. Mm. Now, one of the other things that I've done um, this year is I've been experimenting. Let me show you. Now, you all know that I make beautiful homemade soaps, but what I've done is you have bits of soap left over, and I keep them in a bin there. When I have little bits, I just throw it all into one bin with some water so that it all becomes liquid soap, if you like. But now what I've been doing is mixing that liquid soap with baking soda, and a little bit of vinegar. And these are little bags of stuff that you can now hang in your cistern of your toilet. All right. So that it automatically washes through. What do you think? Now, that's not what I call a normal Christmas present, but how many of you are going, good idea? And by the way, I have one with a bag, and then, about 4 more that go with it as a present. So they're all little things that I hope. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, I love it. Well, they're things that I hope will make life easier. Now, for all my gardening friends, the ones that have plants inside, the one thing, or the one thing we all complain about is fruit flies. And because I don't know, you have plants, you have those bugs, this nasty little things. So guess what? I bought a whole lot of little bug catchers for people, of different sorts. The sticky pads and the. Then I've got. Where did I put it? So I can show you. Did I put it in here? Yeah. Okay. So I need to talk about it. A special filter thing that you put in on top of a bottle so that the flies can go in, but they can't get out again. And it's I've tried to think of not just soap, but what soap can I make that is useful? And obviously, I have a lot of liquid soap, and so some people will be getting, a thing of liquid soap. Reuse, recycle. Very, very important. So what have you done? That's what I want to know. What did you do this year that you going, I'm glad I did that this year because it certainly has helped me. I kept having this 1 hour, which was, what's the next step for Christmas? That's what I do every day. What's the one next step for Christmas? And it may be that I get into confetti corner and I cut some more something for a Christmas village for somebody, or, it's just like I've got this little slot, or it's go out and get I'm still trying to get my Christmas lights outside. They're on, but I'm trying to get that they're on when I want them on, not when they choose to go on. Still not quite sure why that's messed up, but it'll work out. I'm trying to get it to go dusk to dawn sort of thing. So that's that. And then I'm going to discuss that a bit more with Ciora when she gets here. Or if you wanted to go on for 8 hours or 6 hours, it's got a timer on it, but for some reason I'm having trouble with the timer. I have no idea why, but I'm going to talk about that. All right, so Jeannie's saying, I kept delaying getting a gravestone. I finally did it, and the memorial company was able to place it before spring. Isn't that wonderful? So well done. Yes, you know what I call that, Jeannie? I call that putting on your big girl pants, because that requires huge emotion. I'm not comparing it to going to the dentist, but I loathe the dentist so much, it's not even funny. So for me to go to a dentist is putting my big girl pants on. You know what I mean? But yes, dealing with something that has such emotion attached to it is putting your big girl pants on. Jody every year has a horrific thing about this deep that she has to fill in to get the insurance that she needs to get coverage for everything. But it's like, it's not fun to do. It's an absolute pain, and it's emotionally charging because you've got to sort of justify why you need this coverage and so forth. But if you want the coverage, it's what you have to do. So that's what I call big girl pants. If you want a gravestone, you've got to deal with it. If I want to have a smile, I'm going to have to find the money. Makes sense. So those are all what I call big girl pant things. And we all have them in our scenario. And, when you're on a limited budget, as I am now that I'm retired, it makes it more and more difficult. But I definitely, when I realized I was going to have 6 weeks without a front tooth, I know my sister said, well, you must be quite grateful that you're not a very social person, because you won't have to worry about seeing people. And I went, did you forget I broadcast twice a week? And she went, oh gosh, yes, I did. But the funny thing is, I am less worried about seeing my friends than I am about doing a broadcast, because I know my friends will just, they will expect that I've got a tooth missing. And for the first few seconds, they will try to pretend that they don't notice it. But, after a little while, they won't notice it. It's just okay. Except I could be lisping a whole lot more. So be it. So the holidays are not happy for everyone. They can be anxiety-filled, overwhelming, overstimulating, guilt-ridden reminders that our families, if we have them, are not perfect. The end of the year might be a reminder of what we did not accomplish. So how many of you have that feeling? All these things that I plan to do this year that I haven't done. Well, the good news is that you haven't done them because you didn't want to. Because one thing, if we're dealing with emotional intelligence, and one thing, if we're dealing with reality, is you have done the things that you wanted to get done in the time that you had. The things that you haven't done means that you didn't want to make extra time to do them. Now, to my horror, I've been doing some spring cleaning for some reason in my dining room. And apparently I'm a bit overdue. Because one of the things I always remember my mommy taught me, which was, if you are going to dust with a wet white face cloth. Now, the reason for that is, if you just use a Swiffer or whatever. I mean, that's fine for everyday stuff. But if you're going in there to clean, I go in with a white face cloth with Mr. Clean on it. Okay. And then I go, why? You can see how dirty it is. And I've been a bit horrified, quite honestly. I'd show you, but I'd be embarrassed. And I'm going, boy, I guess this was overdue for a clean. And yet it didn't look dirty at all. That's what confused me. It was just like, that certainly didn't look dirty. And one of the greatest things I will say that I found out this year is to bring in my leaf blower. Now, I know you're probably all still laughing about that, but I want to tell you, about once a week now, I bring the leaf blower in and I just go across. Even though I've got a vacuum, even though I've got a robot, you'll be amazed what that leaf blower finds that that in the corners and crooks and crannies, nooks and crannies that the robot doesn't get into. You'll be amazed what that thing brings out. And I haven't yet to do it and think it was a waste of time. You know what I mean? Every time I go, well, boy, look at that. Isn't that amazing how much it found? And it's so much quicker than vacuuming. It's just like, okay, let me just quickly take the leaf blower around and see what comes out. It has become what do you call it? A routine for me now. It's just like, it's time for the leaf blower. I'm trying to think what else. It'll probably take me a few weeks to get around my dining room, right? Because I'm just doing a little section every week on a Tuesday. Oh, that's the other thing. I really do recommend that. Have a day that you do things on. Tuesdays I have 3 things I do on a Tuesday. My bathrooms, I water my plants inside, and I do one more thing in the dining room. Because the dining room is my focus for this month, right? That's another thing. I don't try and clean the whole thing in a day. It's like, during the course of the month. That means every day I can do one little step more. I've got it pretty tidy now. I'm quite impressed. It was a mess. My dining room table had become a catch-all for a lot of things. And so that was really getting out of control. And part of what I found is when you live on your own and you don't have too many visitors, that's what happens. So the other thing is, I have discovered having people come to visit is very important for my routines. Jeannie's doing her annual gift giving. She's saying today she went to the vet with a gift of crackers and cheese and salami, with green olives on top. Nice. I couldn't eat it, but nice. I can't eat salami, and I don't eat olives. Isn't that funny? So yeah, the presents were all from Stella, her dog, of course. So yeah, but you know something, what I've always said, Jeannie, and I wonder if you'll agree with me, it's not that you are noble. It is that you know that you get joy out of giving. All right. So you had joy making it, and then you had joy giving it, and you love to see the joy that it brings in other people. Am I correct in that? And it's part of the reason why I buy little gizmos every now and then. I've recently perfected the art of making puff pastry. Now, puff pastry isn't good for me. I know that. But, it's nice to do. And like everything else, it's okay to eat in moderation, right? So I found this really cute little mold. And it is wet. And what you do is you cut this side, one round, and then you push that through. That's a bit difficult to do, by the way. And then what you do is you put the round one here in here, and then fill it with whatever, and then you have this lattice work that goes over the top. I've got a picture for you, because a picture paints 1,000 words, doesn't it? Now, very time intensive, right? So why do it? There's that round one. Is that cute? And I put an apple there so you can see the size of it. It's tiny. When I say tiny, it's sort of like this big, right? Well, you can see how big it is. But that was my meat pie. But I made 3. And I filled them with a beef stew from a can. And, it was just like, as you can probably see from the plate, it was very tasty. Thank you. And then, of course, I also did a couple of little baby apple pies as well. So that's the other thing I wanted to say. Christmas is a wonderful time to play. Even if you don't have time. What have I been playing with? Yeah. Last year I was learning how to, make these little gift things, where you can write words. And then this year I thought, why don't I just put the initial on it? What do you think? Okay, and then these little leaves are raised. Don't you think that's cute? So that's for Yvonne, and then that's for Wade. But simple, but it takes a bit of time. Now then, how many of you agree with me that it's time that is not wasted? When people you care about see something like that, they know you took time and love. All right? Because people are not stupid. They know that takes effort. All right? So this is another one that I did for somebody. And I got more of them, but this is another one. So now these I just tie onto the bag so I know which one is which. How long did it take? That's the question. Well, funny enough, not very long, because last year I already designed the card. So then this is just a case of how do I add the initial? And that didn't take me very long. And once I'd done one, I could just keep changing it. So Jeannie's saying, I make place cards. I recently found little gingerbread people and put the name on the back. Yes, you see, this is the whole thing. I think you all know that I made gingerbread houses for cards this year for people. Have I got a picture of that? Must have a picture of that, surely. And I for some reason decided at the last moment that was so cute and I wanted to do that. So, it's like you can have fun. And what you need to understand, hang on, here are the gingerbread houses. So each card has 1, 2, 3, 4. Difficult to see that. It has 4 panels to it, all right? Each with its own little gingerbread house. Now, you want to know the nightmare I had? Somehow or other, I managed to accidentally change the white that goes on top. So that's, the red, then the brown for the gingerbread, and then the white goes over the top. And for some reason, I accidentally changed the size of the white. So it no longer fitted correctly. Was that a nightmare? I spent about a day trying to fix that. But it's all part of it is what it is, right? All right, so Jeannie's saying last year I also took a plain wreath and attached gingerbread girls and boys. Hang on a second. I can't read. Gingerbread girls and boys houses. If there's more to that, I can't see it because there's an icon in the way that I can't move. Don't think I can move that icon. No. Okay. When we get another comment, I'll be able to read that properly, Jeannie. So, this is like, all right. So girls and boys houses. Yeah. So, this is like, do something that is fun, but then don't get angry because it takes time. Just go, I choose to spend the time doing this because it gives me pleasure. Now, I made, I don't have a picture of that for you, but I made certain, a big series of Christmas houses. You see this Christmas house thing? I made a big one, and it goes in two of my windows at the front. I have two big bay windows. And so I made a big version of that, and then I put red behind it, right? And so that's what's in my window. Now, those are my two end windows. Tomorrow, the Christmas tree will go in there as well. And so, it's all about, we don't have to do it all at the same time. And if I don't get it all done, I don't mind. I just need help getting the tree up this year, more so than I normally would. But, I can put the ornaments on. I just want somebody to help me get the tree there. And, I've got to move coffee tables and do all sorts of things, so that I would prefer to have help doing that. The other thing is, I've got rugs under my coffee table that are actually washable. So what I like to do is, while we're putting up the tree, I like to wash that rug. I've got a very big washing machine, and so that I know that once a year that rug gets nicely cleaned. Uh, I tell you, the things that we do and things, isn't it wonderful? So the whole thing that I wanted to say is about the layers of stress. If we don't remove some of those layers and say, that's going to have to wait this year, or that's going to need to not be done this year. If we don't do that, then what we end up with is very serious overload. And that is not healthy, even if you are healthy. And for those of us who are compromised in some way, apparently I've lost some weight. For those of us who are compromised health-wise, it's not worth it. So it's my pleasure. Jeannie's saying, thank you for this broadcast today. It made me relax. Well, it's important to relax, isn't it? And if you think about it, the person you need to thank, Jeannie, is you, because you took the time out to come here and listen and relax. But I thank you for the compliment. That's very kind. And I'm hoping that Jody feels better for coming here and helping as well. And I hope that some of you, got some joy out of, what you've seen that I've been making, or some of the things that I've been doing to try and get rid of some of those layers. And when we can do that, then what we end up with is a much more balanced life. I definitely am not going to stress out this Christmas. It's not worth it to me. I've had enough this year. I don't need more stress. So I will try, and the main thing is to try and work out what has to be done, and then fill in the time, if you have it, with the things that you would like to get done. Does that make sense? Did any of you ever read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? And the main thing to do, and that's what they recommended all those years ago, was, the 7 habits. Number 1, you put the big things in your day timer first, right? The big important things. And they are things like family and friends and your health. And, it's not work. It's what are the important things to you that keep you balanced? And then you fill in with, smaller stuff. And then if you've got any space left, you fill in with other stuff. But, don't fill in with the small stuff and then try and fit in the big ones because it doesn't work. Yeah, Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Always a pleasure to see you. I know you're in the background quite often. Sharon's saying, I read it, but I think I forgot it all. Yeah. And that's why I like to um, go back and revisit. Hang on a second, guys. I am busy redesigning a day timer that suits the way I think. So let me show you how it works. Hang on a second. So on one side, I have the month, all right? And in there go the important appointments only. Makes sense? Then I have, this is like 2 weeks at a time. So that's got December on the other side, by the way, if you're looking at November. But here, 2 weeks of my life, all right? And in here, I try to plan what I want to do by the day. But what I've got here is the ongoing list of things I want to get done. Now, the reason I do it that way, it's sort of like a bullet thing, is that I can open up my day timer in the morning and I can literally see there's not much going on. That's the first thing I want to see. So I know there are no important things for me to do today because they're not in that page, right? There's not an appointment that I have to get to or plan for or whatever, right? However, when I get here, I will see that I have got, I've got a couple of meetings coming up next week that I need to prepare for, buy food for example. So then that allows me to be able to write that in there because that becomes now important for this week. And I found that this actually works really well. And if any of you are interested in the design of it, I'll gladly share it with you to see if you've got a. Just let me know whether your binder is A5, which is like a half one, or whether you've got a full-size binder. But what it helps me do is to remember each morning my day is empty. Unless I've got an appointment. My day is empty. How I choose to stack it full of stuff is now a choice. Does that make sense to anybody? And then what I do, and I know this sounds really funny, I literally then do that 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I go, what are the 10 most important things if I got time to do them? And put them in order of importance to you. And it doesn't matter when you do them. I sometimes find out I do things that's near the bottom, sometime during the day. And it's just like, and then every day I just move it. I start again, clean piece of paper. What do I want to get done today if I can? And I am getting so much more done than I was because of that. But remember that every day we choose to either be organized, we choose to be tidy, we choose to be overwhelmed, or we choose to get control. I am desperately trying to get control of certain areas of my life. I don't mind telling you. It's just like I'm still desperately trying to downsize because I need to. But they're not necessarily the most important things in my life. I have a big goal that says, I've still got boxes in the house. My goal is by the end of winter not to have any more boxes except the ones that I want in the house, in the house, that I have been through them all and I've downsized them, and what needs to go to the shed will go to the shed, and what's left inside is because it needs to be there. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's my big goal for the whole of winter, along with make next year's Christmas cards. So getting busy is a good thing. And I think you all know that I work a season ahead. So I basically was planning Christmas in September. I have already bought the papers I will need for next year's Christmas cards. I already have them because I planned ahead. All right. When winter starts, I will be planning and buying things for spring. Does that make sense? I always do it a season ahead. Now, it doesn't mean I get it all done, but basically by the time the next season comes, oh, and by the way, I just bought myself new shoes for the spring. No, I lie. I bought shoes for the winter because they were on sale. So, and Jody will relate to this. Jody, how nice to have shoes that I can buy and get into because I don't have edema anymore. For those of you who don't know what edema is, that's when your body swells up with water retention. It's so nice to be able to get into normal shoes again and be comfortable. So that is something. And by the way, Jody, thank you so much for recommending these slippers. I live in them. I want to know, are they washable? Can I put them in the washing machine? Do you know? I've got a feeling I probably can. Yeah, Jody's saying that's a blessing. How wonderful that the edema has gone. Well, I normally struggle with it a lot in the summer. But I think because I'm doing enough exercise, that's also helping to move it as well. So, and what I try and do is for a couple of hours a day, I get out of these very comfortable slippers and get my Birkenstocks on that force my feet to use different muscles and so forth, and get the blood flowing a different way. So there we go. That's our broadcast for today. I ask you to please be aware, all right? If you are this full and you add another 3 layers, you are under overwhelm and stress. If you don't take out 3 more layers, you are going to feel the pressure and you're going to pay the price. Jody says, I think mine are washable. Check the instructions. What instructions, Jody? The ones that came with them? I think maybe I better go and have a look on Amazon and I'll check because I can get to the order and find out because I did buy them on Amazon. Yeah, on the website. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I've got a feeling they probably are washable. So it's time. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw them in the dryer with a wet towel and steam them. That will sanitize them. Huh. You know what I mean? A couple of wet face cloths into the dryer and let the steam sanitize them. That's really what I want to do. I do that a lot with my bath mats. Rather than put them through this huge wash, basically what I want to do is sanitize them. So, and that's what I do. I will throw them into the dryer with wet face cloths and things, or if I've just come out of the shower, they're already wet, and just sanitize them because then they last longer that way, and it's a good way of doing it. All right, everybody. So have a good weekend. Enjoy it. I'm going to relax a bit now. That's the next thing I've got on I actually scheduled an hour to relax. How about that? And then I'll start up again. So thank you for being here, Jody. Thank you. Even though you are not well, Thank you, as usual, for being here. Jeannie, thank you for being back up, and thank you for offering to be our admin for next week. I really appreciate that. And for all of you listening in the background or whatever, please feel free to leave your comments so that we know how you are coping with Christmas and as we get into the countdown. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, get rid of some of those layers. Life will be a lot easier. Remember, start every day with a blank page and start again. Only put one thing in per hour, and you'll be amazed how much more effective you are. Because you will do more than that, but just put one thing in per hour. Bye-bye for now.